Hello, I'm Steven Roy Goodman, host of Higher Education Today, a production of the University of the District of Columbia. Welcome back to the education program that connects you to contemporary issues, people, and institutions involved in the world of higher education. Today, we'll be talking with Dr. Mary Ellen Mazey, president of Bowling Green State University. Dr. Mazey has been Bowling Green's president since 2011. Previously, she served in various administrative positions at Auburn, West Virginia University, and Wright State University. She was an executive committee member of the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities Council on Academic Affairs. Welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me here today.
Well, pleasure to have you. Thanks again. Dr. Mazey, if we could start with town-gown relations. You, I know, have been working on this a little bit in Bowling Green. If you could say a word or two about what you're trying to do with the mayor and what you're trying to do with this initiative generally.
Well, when I arrived in Bowling Green, we'd had very good day-to-day relationships with the city in terms of our students and faculty and staff, but it didn't seem like we had a common vision of where the city and the university want to go in the future in terms of partnerships and working together. So we put together some task forces and got some individuals involved in both the university and the community, and we came up with a plan as to partnerships that we want to create in the future. And already we've had 2 successes. We have a joint now visitor center on campus that we're working with the city of Bowling Green in terms of staffing that center, and it's also right off the Interstate 75, so it's a high visibility for both the city and the community. And then secondly, probably our major accomplishment is that our student health service is now going to be provided by Wood County Hospital that's located in the city of Bowling Green. And they are building us a $5 million new Falcon Health Center that will be open this fall. It will save us $1.6 million in our student fee budget, and we're able then to take those funds and actually renovate our 30-year-old recreational center for the students. So we're very, very pleased about this partnership that has already been created in just a short period of time, working with the city of Bowling Green and, in this case, Wood County Hospital.
That's interesting. Are you working on some other initiatives as well, beyond those 2?
We continue to work on a number of initiatives with the city. In fact, one of the areas that we're all concerned with is, how well our students are served by the community and what businesses our students would desire to have in the community that they don't have. Transportation, and for our students to go to downtown, stop at. We have a very viable little downtown in Bowling Green, and how will our students better utilize that downtown. A bikeway. We currently have a bikeway off of the city of Bowling Green to North Baltimore, Ohio, but we need a bikeway through campus that links to downtown and goes to North Baltimore, because our students are very, very oriented towards sustainability. And
well, let's take that bike path. That's kind of interesting. So I assume you need to get various permits, you need to have various rights of way. Is that
well, we would have to do that, yes, and it's a long-term objective for us to do that and have a way for our students to maneuver the downtown to that bikeway. But I'd just like to say that I think of the campuses I've been on, BG is way ahead in terms of using bicycles, because we have a bike loan program where a student can walk out of class, take one of the university bicycles and go to their next class and leave the bicycle there. So it's a great campus for biking, and we, as I say, have a strong influence there in sustainability and are part of the President's Climate Commission.
Do you bike?
I do.
And you bike to your office?
No, I don't. I don't bike to my office because, again, there's no bikeway, and it's from my home to the office, and it's I'm not one that wants to be out on the navigating the roads against vehicles and bicycling. Well, but I like bikeways.
Fair enough. And if you don't mind me asking, to our audience, you and I talked about this before we started taping. I was really intrigued by your comment about the presidential house you have relative to the house that you grew up in.
Oh, yes. The presidential home I have at BG was, the university purchased it in 2008, and it was a beautiful home in the city of Bowling Green, and actually it was purchased by the foundation, and it makes a great place for university events and for our alums to come and stay. But I grew up in a very rural area of West Virginia. I grew up in a house that did not have any indoor plumbing, and I was raised by a single mom that worked in the kitchen for 36 years at a resort. And so my brother tells me I've come a long ways.
Well, you obviously have.
I've lived the American dream, I always say.
Well, that's great. Well, in terms of the American dream, which American students and which non-American students are going to Bowling Green?
Well, currently, 85% of our student body comes from the state of Ohio, and it's a traditional 18-year-old student population. We have about 600 international students on campus. Our goals for the future would be to increase the number of international students on campus, increase the number of our students that study abroad. We currently have between 400 and 500 right now. We would like to increase both of those to around 1,500 students that study abroad, 1,500 international students that come to campus for their education. And we would like to increase our out-of-state students. We were one of the first 2 normal schools in the state of Ohio. So we have an outstanding reputation with our College of Education, our College of Business, our College of Music, and very selected programs in other areas as well. Popular culture is one of our majors that's rather unique at BGSU. So our goal is to expand then to more out-of-state students, online students, international students in the future. And non-traditional students, the adult students.
Well, and how are you doing that?
Since I've been there, we've signed 22 articulation agreements with community colleges throughout the region and throughout the state. And our goal will be to have, currently we have about 750 transfer students, but they're more of the traditional age. But we all know the adult student, that age group of 25 to 34. And it's certainly the case in Ohio. It needs to be served by higher education as well.
Do you think that the city of Bowling Green has the same interest that you do in bringing more international students and more people from other parts of the country to your campus?
Yes, they do. I've talked with a number of the citizens and with the mayor, and they're all quite interested in us bringing the internet, because it adds diversity to the campus. It enriches the campus, it enriches our current students, and it enriches the community.
Well, in terms of popular culture, you referenced that a second ago. You know, as you know, when I'm not hosting the show, I'm an educational consultant, and one of the things that I enjoy doing is reaching out to universities that have very interesting specialties. And Bowling Green does have a great specialty in popular culture. Could you say a word or two about that program and/or how it reaches out beyond just, you know, Ohio's borders?
Well, it reaches out, I think, beyond Ohio's borders to the nation and the world. We have about 10 faculty in that program. It came about by Ray Brown, was the founder of it. He had a tremendous reputation in the field of popular culture. Eileen O'Neill was one of his students. She's currently CEO of Discovery Channel. She got an internship. We talked about internships with Discovery Channel, and now has made it up through the ranks and is certainly in the lead position with the Discovery Channel. But it's a program that is rather unique, and in terms of studying the influence of media and culture on all aspects of our lives. In fact, we have a faculty member that's putting together an international conference right now on heavy metal music, and it will be held in Bowling Green, Ohio, because of our popular culture program. And we also have a popular culture archives collection in our library. So I'm just very, very proud of the program.
That's really interesting. In terms of popular culture, let's say one of your recruiters goes out to China or goes to another country and says, I want you to come to Bowling Green, and here's why we're a terrific institution. How do you talk about popular culture, and how do you talk about sports, and how do you talk about the things that Bowling Green may be known for?
I think that what you have to say is these unique programs like popular culture, and today the world's population is very interested in media and communications. Those are 2 fields that are changing very rapidly, and many other universities don't have these, are at least not on the cutting edge of these fields, and popular culture blends both of them. And it's a way then to look at how the world is changing and how we change with the world.
And I don't mean this in a not in a disrespectful way, but when one thinks of popular culture in the United States, you know, we think about Los Angeles, we think about New York. Do we necessarily think about Bowling Green, Ohio?
I think we do in terms of the study of popular culture and the research on popular culture, because again, it goes back to Ray Brown's national reputation when he built the program, and I know that even Michigan State has a program, and so I think the Midwest is a sort of a hotbed of popular cultural studies.
Fair enough. And if we can get back to the issue of town-gown relations and governance issues, if we can expand that a little bit. The University of Virginia has been in the news quite a bit around here for basically how governance does not necessarily work perfectly. And how do you make sure as a president that you're maintaining closer ties with the board and that you're kind of speaking the same language as the board?
Well, I always try to keep the board very informed. The board chair, anytime I'm involved in even a media event, I always let the board chair know. But we have a retreat once a year that sets the goals for the university. And then at the end of that year, we talk about the accomplishments that have taken place in terms of those goals, look at the goals for the next year. So I try to make sure it's a consensus building project and format with the board. The board chair has been the same these first 2 years, but it will probably change next year. So you just work with all members of the board, respond to their questions, and make sure that they're informed about what's going on in the university. One of the things that I've done is start board members liaisoning with various colleges and learning more about what the colleges are doing, because and athletics in terms of the mission and fulfilling the mission of the university.
Are your board members supportive of the town-gown relations that you've been trying to build?
They are, and they're very pleased about the new Falcon Health Center. They're also very pleased. The state of Ohio has decided they have one of their 3 crime labs is located in the city of Bowling Green, but their space is too small, so now they're building a $12.5 million building on our campus, and we're starting a forensic science program because of that. So I think that the city of Bowling Green sees how we are really working with the community and with others to build these partnerships that benefit us all.
Fair enough. And now you're known as well for teacher education.
We are.
And could you say a word or two, if you don't mind, about teacher education?
Oh yes, as I said, we were one of the first 2 normal schools in the state. Kent State was also a normal school, and then changed our status to a university after that. But we still graduate the largest number of teachers of any university in Ohio. And they have our teacher education program has an outstanding reputation in the state and out of the state. And in fact, when I was provost at Auburn University and I was coming to BG, I had a number of the faculty members there to speak, particularly the College of Education, to speak so highly of the programs at BG.
Is there some sort of way that students from Bowling Green can intern at school districts in Ohio?
Yes, they do. They obviously are all required to have their teacher education in the classroom, and so we have built multiple partnerships throughout the state of Ohio with the school districts. And in fact, we now have, we just this fall received our largest grant ever from NSF. It was $7.3 million, and it was for STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math, and it reaches out to 2 school districts in Ohio, one of which school district would be Sandusky up on Lake Erie, and the superintendent of that school district is a BG alum.
Fair enough. You were in the news recently because you either let go or something happened with roughly 10% of your faculty.
Right.
Could you say a word or two about that?
Sure. When our faculty unionized a few years ago, and we're negotiating the first contract, and when we've been looking at some of our statistics, our faculty have lower salaries than other universities in the state, and we've made a commitment to bring them to market salaries. So we looked at the percentage of full-time faculty, and we had the largest percentage of full-time faculty of any of our sister institutions in the state of Ohio. So in order to find the resources in this very difficult time to bring our faculty to market salaries, one factor we've looked at is how do we then have fewer full-time faculty and increase the salaries of our current faculty. And in doing so, then we've looked at having a number of positions that will be eliminated, full-time faculty positions eliminated. Those will take place through retirements, attrition, and non-renewal of one-year contracts. So we really haven't laid anyone off, so to speak. We have not, we're going through non-renewal of one-year contracts. And we've looked at our class sizes. Many of our class sizes are smaller than other Ohio universities. And so we'll still currently serve our students, and there may be 2 to 3 more students in their classes than what's been in the past.
Well, in some ways that's a brave stance, because on one, you could see both arguments. On one hand, what you want to do is obviously balance your budget. On the other hand, what you want to try to do is make sure that you have the resources to go forward with something you want to do, and by definition, they're unpopular decisions.
That's true. And when you get into these positions, resources do really govern what we can and how we best serve our students. And you won't always be able to make popular decisions. But in this case, I felt that it was, and the provost did too, felt it was the best decision for the university. Well,
if I may quote one of your fellow Ohioans, is it Ohioans or Ohioans? Ohioans. Gordon Gee, who's the president of Ohio State, came on this show and sat in that very seat maybe a year ago. And one of the points he made, which was very funny, which he made the case that you want to have nerves as like steel pipes, because no one ever has all the information that you do at that very moment. And if they were, somebody's got to make the tough decisions.
That's true. That's true. And what you always ask yourself the question, what is best for the university? And in order to recruit good faculty, retain good faculty, we have to have our faculty at market salaries.
And what about tuition? How do you set tuition? Because obviously you also have to worry about how much tuition costs relative to other Ohio universities and relative to other universities throughout the country.
Right. Well, I've only been involved in 1 year of setting tuition, but in Ohio, the legislature actually has capped tuition increases. And previously, it's been at 3.5%. And so most of the universities did raise their tuition 3.5%. This coming year, Ohio legislature, it looks like, will pass a budget that caps our tuition at 2%. But a number of our sister institutions have already said, Ohio State being one, that they're not going to raise their tuition this year. The University of Toledo is another one. So what we have to do is, as we negotiate this first contract with our faculty and look at certainly staff compensation and look at our student body, we'll have to determine what percentage that we are allowed, that we would really raise tuition in order to meet our budget for next year.
And what about your endowment?
Our endowment's not all that large. It's just a little over $100 million. So we are in the silent phase of a capital campaign, comprehensive campaign, because one of our goals, major goals, would be to increase that endowment and increase scholarship funding for our students to come to BG.
But why wouldn't you just use more of the endowment directly for financial aid, for instance?
Well, we use the maximum that we can out of the endowment to help our students and provide them scholarships. We also use some of our own funds. We call it discounting, and most universities do that. We use some of our own funds. In fact, about half of our undergraduate student body receives some type of support from the university.
Well, and speaking of finances, I mean, as you certainly know, I mean, there's tremendous debt related to student debt in the United States. In fact, it's greater than credit card debt now. Do you have any possible thoughts, about how to possibly solve this crisis?
Well, I think we always need to educate the students and their parents about acquiring the debt. And one of the things that I think that all of us at universities should do is really work with our students to ensure that they have viable employment once they graduate from our institutions of higher education. I'm a big believer in co-op internships, work study. All of these are very important ways that students can finance their college education. As I said, I'm a first generation college student. 38% of our students at BG are first generation. And so we need to find ways to help them achieve that American dream. And certainly raising funds for scholarships is number one.
But you could certainly see on the other end, you want people to not have higher tuition bills. So if the tuition bills were lower, then obviously there would be less money that we would be taking out as debt.
That's true. And so since I've been at BG, we've created an efficiency and effectiveness task force to look at ways that we can reduce our cost. And we continue to work on it on a daily basis. So it's a matter of how we reduce our cost, but at the same time meet our obligations and provide a quality education for the students that are there.
Well, and in terms of reducing costs, have you explored kind of economies of scale with other universities?
We have. We have, in Ohio, we have a, excuse me, a group called the Inter-University Council, which is all the public universities in the state. And we do have a shared services project that it goes on a continuous basis, and we're looking at ways that we can work with them to lower our cost.
Well, what would be some of the ways that you've been thinking about?
Well, a lot of it is our back office operations and how we are able to use greater technology instead of having as much. In fact, we've done. If you look at us, we've really decreased the number of staff on our campus because we're using greater use of technology than in our business operations.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, we did a segment on university consortia. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, the gentleman who is the director of the Claremont Consortia made the case, that exact case, and he made the case that the back office operations were really big and just for 5 small schools. So I imagine in Ohio you're dealing with much larger universities.
You are correct. The problem is that not all of us use the same technology at those universities. Our business operations, some of them run on what's called the banner system, and we run on PeopleSoft. So it's difficult sometimes if you don't have the two systems talking to each other to actually collaborate then. But we're certainly doing that in terms of medical insurance and other. The IUC has our human resources people that meet on a regular basis. Our chief financial officers meet on a regular basis. Our provosts meet on a regular basis, and our presidents meet on a regular basis to determine how we can collaborate.
Interesting. And what about library collaborations?
Oh, in Ohio, we're very fortunate because we have Ohio Link that links all the university libraries together. It's a model for the nation. It is. And when I've been at West Virginia and in Alabama, they've all said, you come from Ohio Link, and we have these repositories all across the state, and you can get any book you want from those or articles from those repositories. It's absolutely the model for the nation.
Fair enough. And can you say a word or two about your relationship with students on campus?
I try to be out with the students on a every day basis when I'm on campus. I think it's important to listen to them. I take students to lunch. I go whenever they ask to come to their meetings. I always attend their meetings. I want to know their issues because the only way we can best serve our students and recruit future students is to know what issues that they have. But most of the time they always tell me they love their experience at Bowling Green. Two rather interesting things that I've done. When I first came to BG, with the opening weekend of students, I asked the group of students, what should I do on that weekend? And some of them said I should go over and climb the rock wall. And no one would tell me I should do it, but I went over there and climbed the rock wall. Not real high, but the students really loved that. And then last year they asked me to ride on the back of a orange motorcycle in the homecoming parade. And I told them I'd never been on a motorcycle and always wanted to be, and what would be safer than being on one in a homecoming parade. So I rode on the back of an orange motorcycle in the homecoming parade. So I try to get out there, and I always say, listen to the students, and I do.
Wow, so from a house without any running water to a homecoming parade,
there you go.
You've come quite a distance.
That's right.
All right, if we could we only have a few minutes left, but if we can maybe just get back to the issue of the town-gown relations a little bit more. So I was a little intrigued about this bike path. So, interesting idea. So, but how do you move it forward that it's not just a discussion?
Right. How you move it forward is we're currently implementing a master plan on the BG campus. And we will do a new landscaping plan with that. So that would be an opportunity for us to put in a bike path when we do the landscaping plan. At the same time, we need to work with the city planners. They have a bike commission, bicycle commission. So how do we get that bicycle commission and the university working together to seek outside funding, whether that's from various sources, foundations, others, to see if we can then designate bike lanes within the city and then bike paths throughout campus and link up then to this bike path that goes from Bowling Green to North Baltimore, Ohio.
That's interesting. I wonder if you can combine something with popular culture and biking.
I'd like to. It wouldn't be that, but I think as I told you, we have a strong academic program in sustainability, and I can see where it would combine with that.
Well, that's really interesting. Well, good luck to you. I think that your idea of promoting closer ties between the city and the university, I think, is long overdue, not just at your place, but everywhere in the country, because I think we've had some difficulties in a number of universities where that's not the case.
That's true.
So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
If you would like additional information about Dr. Mary Ellen Mazey, please visit bgsu.edu. If you have comments or suggestions about higher education today, please send an email to our viewer mailbox at highereducationtoday@topcolleges.com. Thank you for watching. We will continue to bring you quality discussions about important matters in today's college and university world. Please join me again for another edition of Higher Education Today. I'm Steven Roy Goodman, and you've been watching Higher Education Today.